This is going to be part 2 of answering some questions on OCC. And if you still have more after this, put them down below. I love to field your questions and give you guys ideas and thoughts from my opinion as a missionary and as someone who's received the boxes. This next question is from Marie, and it says, I completely agree with you regarding color crayons and flip-flops. I had mentioned to get good quality is just what I said. One question I have regarding glue sticks. They seem to be a very popular item, yet I continually wonder if the kids really use them. And if so, what? Yes, most of us definitely send notebooks, but what will they glue with those? Also, I keep in mind that glue sticks work very well with items like small pieces of construction paper or small note cards, etc. I would love your thoughts on these. So I did look into like Bogota schools, and I actually talked to some friends in Africa and some friends in Ecuador, and they all said that the primary school age levels, basic school supplies that kids need for school always include glue sticks. Think about all the crafts that you did as a kid. Those same crafts are going to happen at school. So just because you guys only send a notebook doesn't necessarily mean that the only thing they have to work with is a notebook, because they're going to go to school and they're going to get some paper. Here in Colombia, it's very common for the kids to need to bring in magazines, and they cut and paste out of magazines. It's so interesting. I have seen kids need that so many times where they go, no, I have a project tomorrow on colors, or I have a project tomorrow on emotions, and I need magazines that I can cut things out of and glue for my class. And so glue sticks are always needed primary age level. It's been interesting to know, but in those 3 countries, well, Africa's not a country, but I talked to people, I think they're in Kenya and I want to say Somalia. But anyway, in those areas, everyone said that yes, glue sticks are needed. So that answers that. I also mentioned this when I responded to her comment. I just recently helped a girl make up for her English. She had failed her English course, and so she had a bunch of makeup assignments. One of them was cut out 10 musical instruments and write a sentence about those instruments. So we had to find in magazines, in books, in things that she could cut out, and I actually printed some offline because I have a computer and printer, but she needed to cut and paste, and she's in 5th grade. So cutting and pasting is something that happens all the time. Chris asked, when you mentioned that the kids prefer the plastic boxes, were you referring specifically to the OCC plastic boxes or any kind of plastic boxes? Any kind of plastic boxes. Because they last longer, they're useful, they use them as clothing storage, they use them in the kitchen. They just love the durability and the fact that that becomes a gift in and of itself. And so, honestly, they actually often tend to gear towards the clear plastic boxes because they can see into them and they see something that they want. But no, plastic boxes in general, they love. So whether it's the green OCC ones or just a plastic box, Sterilite, or whatever brand you find at the store, they love plastic boxes. One more question. What do you think about a super soft fleece blanket for 2 to 4? Love it. I think that would be amazing. Try not to have it take up the bulk of the box because they're still going to want colors and toys and fun things like that. But I think a fleece blanket would be adorable. Absolutely lovely. Angels Aware asks, my husband enjoys sending them squirt guns. Is this an item we can send as long as it doesn't resemble a firearm? Yes. They do enjoy them, especially the 5 to 9 and 10 to 14. I think what I would say is you don't know the background, whether they're from an area that has a lot of war or an area that has a lot of violence, or you don't know how that family has been touched by weapons. And so try to make it one of those that are like super round or bright blue, something that doesn't look gun related, or even that you could not paint to make look like a gun. So I know like they have the ones that look like a pistol, but they are bright green or bright pink, but if you painted that, it would look like a gun. So I would say even that, try to steer clear of if you can. But the ones that like look bubbly and they almost look like a, what's it called? Like a bubble blower, like a toddler would use. Those ones I think would be the best route, but yes, kids love squirt guns. I just think it's the safest, it's the best option to kind of avoid the ones that look real. Again, that's a personal opinion. If you think about it and you say, I just don't feel comfortable sending a squirt gun, that's how God's leading you, and there's nothing wrong with not wanting to send it. I've also seen the same thing for like projectile toys, like the little disc shooters or Nerf guns. Same idea. I would say try to steer to the ones that look more comical, but I think it's a fun thing for the older ages. Again, it's a personal opinion. Somebody else made a comment, and I just wanted to share this reminder. If you want to get a response from your kids, the best way to get a response is to put an email of yours in the box. Many people put their address. Let me tell you, this Mother's Day, we tried to send a Mother's Day card from Bogota, Colombia to the United States to my mom because it was cute and I wanted to send her a card from Eliana with her little handprint and everything. We went to the store and we don't have normal postage. Like we don't have government postal services. And so we had to do a different service. It was going to cost $150 to send one like 3x6 card. It was insane. So I called my mom and I said, Mom, next time someone comes down from the States, I'll send it back with them and you'll get your card in a couple months. But if you want a response, just know if you only put a physical address, many kids are not going to have the money or access to a way to send you a response. If you put an email, almost every child at some point in their week will have access to a phone or a computer that they can send you a quick message. So if you want a response, the best way to get one is to put an email with your letter, your card, or your picture in the box. This comment specifically said, I've gotten 14 emails from shoebox recipients so far. I'm so excited. The majority of them was from Colombia and a few from Honduras. Some have pictures and one has a video. I sent a letter, picture, and email address in every one of my boxes last year. I had never done that before. So again, that just speaks to the fact that if you put your email in, it's going to give you a better chance of getting a response. Last question. Mr. Chuck says, hi, I watch a lot of videos with the kids opening their boxes. On around 4 different videos, I noticed older boys getting girl items, Barbies, baby doll, etc. This bothers me for a few reasons. Do they sometimes not get enough boxes for older boys? So do they give them what they have? Have you ever seen this happen? Also, I wanted your opinion on sending balloons. Thanks for all you do and for such helpful videos. Well, I don't know if I do anything, but I'm glad that you find these videos helpful and I'm glad that I can speak into this topic. Balloons are phenomenal. I will say anytime we use balloons to decorate our church for any event, the kids want to take them home. They don't like when we cut them and pop them and throw them away. They want to take them home and play with them. Balloons are just something that is loved. I don't know why, but it was in Ecuador. It's here in the capital city of Bogota where balloons are accessible, but kids love balloons. So yes, send balloons. In terms of the gender of the boxes, this could happen for various reasons. I don't know why in those videos specifically it happened, but there's various things that happen. So when we as pastors request boxes, we have to do a guesstimate of how many we need in each age group. So thankfully, because when we did the boxes here in Colombia, we took attendance at our Saturday Kids Club every week. And so we knew roughly how many girls, how many boys came. We had way more boys than girls, but OCC did not let us ask for 70 boy boxes and 20 girl boxes. They wanted them roughly the same. So what we ended up doing is asking for 70 boy boxes and 70 girl boxes, and then ended up returning some of them, ended up doing extra parties to call in more girls. So that happened 1 year. So that might be the case where they just don't ask for enough, or they don't think through how many kids could come. They know their basic church group, but they don't take into account kids coming from the neighborhood because they're going to hear about it, and they just miscalculate. So that could be one reason. The other reason could possibly be because they read the label wrong. Unfortunately, it is often such a quick process that if you don't look well at the label, you might accidentally switch it and put it with the wrong kid. The other possibility is that it was mislabeled, and we've had that happen various times where the box is clearly labeled 10 to 14 boy, And the kid opens it and pulls out a hot pink skirt that's like size 4. So I go, they got the age and the gender wrong. We got a problem. Hopefully, even though that video went live and you saw it, hopefully those pastors noticed and were able to swap the box if they had an extra. Hopefully it wasn't the case where they didn't have enough. Does that happen? Yes. And do they at some point sometimes have to do with what they have? Very possibly. But at least in my experience, more so it has been an error of us reading the label wrong or it being labeled wrong. I can't speak to those exact situations, but I think those are kind of the 3 circumstances where a box would be mixed up. Again, it is a tricky thing to figure out how many boxes to ask for because you never know how many kids are going to show up. That's something that every time we've done OCC, we just pray and pray and pray about, that God just helps that the right number of kids in the right ages show up. We have had to give a 10 to 14 girl a 5 to 9 box, which wasn't the end of the world because it's still girl. But I will say there have been cases where you don't have the perfect box for the perfect kid, and you just pray that whatever box you have to give them is right. And that doesn't necessarily mean because the distributing center didn't have them, but that I didn't ask for the right number, if that makes sense. I don't think when we went and picked up boxes, I'm trying to remember because they had them separated and they had cartons of the 10 to 14 boxes over here and the 5 to 9 boxes over there and the 2 to 4. I want to say roughly the same amount of each age and gender were there. It just depends on how many the pastors ask for. So I don't think there's necessarily a shortage worldwide of a certain age box, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think. If I think of any other reasons that might happen, I'll try to add it in the comment or something below. But at this point, off the top of my head, I think those are kind of the 3 reasons that I could think that a box would be misgiven, if that makes sense. But these are just a few quick questions. I am so excited for the This or That series. I have waited a little bit because there's something that I'm planning on doing for it and I can't do it yet. But I'm so excited to get that series out for you of This or That, specific ages, specific genders. And so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those videos. I love you guys. I hope these tips are helpful. Remember, take it with a grain of salt. If God leads you to give a certain thing or in a certain way, trust Him. These are just thoughts and opinions, but it's fun to share just what we've seen and experienced over these past couple years. So love you guys. And I'm excited for more OCC videos and more ministry and life content in the future. See you guys on the next video.